This is Dr. Rock's breathwork Zoom class. And thinking about breath, think about if you've ever seen a newborn baby and the way they breathe, and you can see it so clearly, but they breathe into their belly. You can see their belly rise, and then you can see their chest rise, and then you can see their belly contract as they're exhaling. So you really see that movement of the belly. And as we grow up, we sort of lose that capacity. Many of us lose that capacity. And we have to teach ourselves again to breathe into our bellies. And so that's a lot of what we're going to be doing today, is focusing on what does it mean to breathe into our bellies and how can we do that. So as we live life, I think a lot of it is because of stress. We start to breathe shallowly, and we just breathe into our upper chest. There's a lot of long-term effects of that. One of them being simply it decreases the lymphocytes in your bloodstream, the white blood cells, which decreases your ability to. It decreases your immune function. Hi, Kit.
Hi.
You're here. Great, great. So we just started. You can just have a comfortable seat. And I'm not going to mute you guys because it's such a small class. If you want to mute yourself, you can. But if you have a question, you can ask it. Okay, so shallow breathing. One of the long-term effects of shallow breathing is that it decreases your number of lymphocytes in your bloodstream, which is a white blood cell, and so it decreases your immunity. It also activates that fight-flight sympathetic nervous system. You have a sympathetic and you have a parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system has to do with danger and what you do when you sense danger. That's great when you're being chased by a tiger. But if the danger that you sense is something like, for instance, a virus, or for instance, partner who's doing something you don't appreciate or something like that, then we get all stressed, but we don't have a way to release it. We don't run away, we don't fight, or we don't run. We just sit there, and it creates a lot of stress in our bodies. And on the other side is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest digest. And so the rest digest nervous system helps us to calm down. It's where healing occurs. So what we want to do is we want to spend more time in that rest, digest, parasympathetic, and less time in the fight, flight. And certainly when you're shallowly breathing, you're in that fight, flight, and that creates even more stress, which creates more shallow breathing. So we need to get down here into our bellies. So we're going to do 4 different breathing exercises, and 2 of them are kind of advanced, and you may feel some soreness in your ribs the next day because we're moving our ribs more than we normally would. But I'm going to talk about belly breathing first, and then its really close neighbor, diaphragmatic breathing. And then we're going to talk about what's called box breathing, which is bringing belly breathing into with some time constraints. And then I'm going to teach you a 3-part breathing where you breathe into your belly, and then into your ribs, and then into your upper chest. And then finally, we're going to do the 4-7-8 breath for anxiety. And it's a great one for really helps with decreasing anxiety. Change this here. Let's see everybody. Okay. So I think to begin with, you want to be sitting, and then later we'll have you lie down. But first, sitting, and anything that's comfortable for you. Most of us need a little boost. I have this little chair like so, which is pretty great. And so I can sit like that. You can also sit if you're on the floor, but you probably want your butt a little bit higher. You want your butt a little bit higher than your knees so that you can sit up straight. If you need to be against a wall or something to be able to make sure you sit up straight, that's fine. But anything that's comfortable for you. So I'm going to start like this. Okay. Maybe you can see my head too, just a sec. Okay, so first what I want you to do is just get into a comfortable position, and I want you to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. And you can close your eyes. And just feel what your natural breath is. Don't try to change it. Just notice. And do you notice more movement in your lower hand or your upper hand? And how much does that move? Do you feel movement in the sides of your ribs? Do you have long pauses between breaths? Okay, so now I want you to focus on your belly hand. And what I want you to think about with the belly is imagine a balloon in your belly. Forget about all that stuff about suck your stomach in. That's not what we're doing right now. We are wanting this to expand. So I want this hand to move a lot. So here's my belly breathing. And then I want it to contract down. So you can see it maybe a little bit more from the side. I mean, there's quite a bit of movement. So it's a balloon expanding and then contracting, and at the end you just a little bit of a pull back with your belly button into your spine. Not strong. You shouldn't be having to work at this, but it is, I mean, it is something a little different. So take about 4 breaths like that. And belly breathing itself does a lot. It lowers your blood pressure. It lowers your heart rate. It relaxes muscles. It decreases stress for all those reasons. And it's very grounding. So if you're ever in a place where you're just feeling stressed out, that's a really good breathing method. So that's your belly breathing. We're going to move on to diaphragmatic breathing, which is similar, but the diaphragm is a muscle that sits right below your lungs. And when your lungs expand, the diaphragm goes down. When your lungs contract on the exhale, the diaphragm goes up. So it's like this balloon or this umbrella that does this. That's the diaphragm. The diaphragm goes from the front all the way to the back and all the way to the sides. So when you're just working on belly breathing, you're really only working on the front part. We want to think about the side part and the back part to get full diaphragmatic breathing. So it's the same kind of thing. We're working down here and we're not doing much up here, but we're going to try to move breath into the sides and into the back. And so this time I want, let's start with both hands on your sides below your ribs, just between your hip bones and your ribs, so right there. And this time I want you to not do much movement up here. It's like you've kind of locked your chest a little bit and you're taking the breath all the way down into the sides. So see if you can focus on this. So it looks something like exhale all the way. So give that a go about 3 times. Okay. Do you feel that a little bit? It's kind of subtle, but I can feel that movement. And now, if you can put your hands on your back, it's a little bit hard on shoulders sometimes, but kind of low back where you're not in your ribs. And then we want to direct the breath back here. This is the hardest one for me. So again, trying to keep this as still as you can. You're going to breathe into that back. So and it's not that you're not breathing into the belly, into the front, but you're kind of focusing on the back part. So the image that works for me is with just the belly breathing, you're thinking about a balloon. With the diaphragmatic breathing, you're thinking about an inner tube around here. You're wanting to expand that whole thing. So let's just put that all together where we're really focusing on diaphragmatic breathing all the way around. So you're not focusing just on here, just on here, just on here, but just kind of that whole inner tube. And I want you to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. And I want you to try to feel very little motion up in here. So all the way exhale, and then we'll do 4 of these diaphragmatic breathing. So exhale all the way. And inhale into the belly, sides, back, and exhale. Keeping your chest as still as possible, another inhale. So that's diaphragmatic breathing. So now we're going to continue to use that belly or diaphragmatic breathing. They're used somewhat interchangeably, but I like the diaphragmatic concept because it's all the way around. We're going to use that, and then we're going to put some time constraints on that. So this is called box breathing. And it's called box breathing because each breath and hold is the same. So basically, exactly, you're going to exhale all the way, and then you're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. So you breathe in 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. So let's just try a couple of rounds, and I'll mostly talk through it. Okay, so exhale all the way out. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale smoothly, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it again. Inhale, 2, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Keep doing that. We're going to do about 4 more on your own time, but just counting to 4. It's going to be pretty similar. And on the inhale, imagine your breath sweeping through your mind like a gentle wind and clearing out any thoughts that don't serve you. And on the exhale, imagine that fire element that lives in your belly and your heart, burning away thoughts and feelings that don't serve you. And on the holds, ask your loving higher self, your feminine water energy, to come into your presence and be with you and guide you through the waves of your life. Well, I want to do one more. Great. So, and just kind of check in, see how you're feeling. Do you feel more grounded? Do you feel more relaxed? I didn't really talk about breathing through your nose or through your mouth, but and that's pretty important, especially on the inhale. On the inhale, you want, if possible, to breathe through your nose. On the exhale, it's not as important. In certain types of breathing, you're doing it through your mouth. But I specifically, I would rather personally breathe in and out through my mouth. That's the most relaxing thing for me. But I would say breathing in through your mouth, and then the exhale is kind of your choice. Okay, so that's box breathing. You can use that anytime. It's a great one to use in the morning to wake up, or in the midday if you're sleepy. and kind of wakes you up and gets you going. So next we have 3-part breath, and this is kind of a complicated one, and I think if it's possible for you all to lie on your backs, that's going to be the best position, and I will do the same. I think that'll work. Okay, so actually I'm going to start sitting up. So the first, so 3-part breathing is breathing into your belly and diaphragm first, and then breathing into your ribs, and then taking the breath all the way up into the tops of your lungs, which are actually just below your clavicles. They go all the way up here. So it's going to be a breath from here, there, there. So we've practiced the all-around diaphragmatic breathing. Now we want to practice the breathing into the ribs. So lying on your back, first put your hands on your front ribs just below your breasts. And this time what I want you to do is focus on feeling that moving as you take a breath. So you take a breath in and you want to feel your ribs move up towards your hands. So breath in. And then on the exhale, they kind of knit together. And again, breath in. And exhale. And one more. And exhale. Okay, and just like with diaphragmatic breathing, there's sides and back to get involved. Same thing with ribs. So now put your hands on the sides of your ribs and think about an accordion. That's a great image for this one. You want your ribs to open up as you breathe in. So you open up, breathe into those lateral ribs, make them wider, and then exhale, narrow. Again. Do that a couple more times. And if you're not feeling a lot of movement, don't get discouraged. You can create more movement. You're going to create more flexibility, and you're going to get more movement as you continue to do this. Okay, so now let's feel the backs of our ribs. If you can get your hands there, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. You'll feel your ribs move into the mat or the floor. So this time we're thinking about the backs of our ribs. So again, breath in, focusing backs of the ribs. And again. And if you start to get a cramp somewhere, it means you're working too hard. So just do a little less. Okay, so now let's do 2 breaths where we're just thinking about all the way around our ribs, front, sides, backs. Exhale all the way. And breath into the ribs all the way around. And one more. Okay, and then the third part of the 3-part breathing is way up into the tops of your lungs. This is a hard one for a lot of people, including me, to access, and some of it is just kind of an energetic feeling more than actual movement. But I'm thinking about bringing my breath all the way into here. And for me, that I'm taking a little bit more of a shallow breath and really working on feeling it go right there. So you probably can't see anything. Let's see. Exhale all the way out. So see if you can feel that as high up into your ribs as you can. Take a couple breaths like that. And then, and this one, I really can't feel it, but I always try. See if you can feel it in the back part of those lungs.
Okay, so that's belly, ribs, upper lungs. And so now we're going to put it all together into the three-part breathing. And the three-part breathing is on one inhale, you're going to start by filling up your belly. Then you're going to fill up your ribs. Then you're going to fill up the top of your lungs in one inhale. And then you're going to exhale in descending order. Same thing. You're going to exhale here, here, here. So it's going to look something like this. Exhale all the way. Belly. And that last bit for me is kind of just taking in a couple of extra sips of air. It's just a little bit to try to bring it all the way up into here. So let's try a few together. And just go at your own pace, at a comfortable pace. So belly. Okay, how's that feel? Hey, you Tom. So that's three-part breathing, and it's, for me, it's very grounding and very calming. I love this one, and it's also it takes some focus and it takes some concentration. And if it feels hard, it is hard. It's hard work, and you will feel more movement in your ribs. The rib movement will increase, and that's going to allow for you to take a bigger breath. As your rib movement increases, you're going to get more breath, and that is great. Another thing about that is ribs are a bone that often, they're easily breakable bones, especially if you have osteoporosis. And these little intercostal muscles, when you're doing this breath work, really get a lot of work. They get a lot of stretch, and then as you're exhaling, they contract. So they're working. Those intercostal muscles are working. And there's something called Wolff's Law that says that if a bone has stress put on it, it's going to increase its strength. And so these little intercostal muscles are putting stress on the bone in a good way, and that's going to increase the density of the bone, which is a great thing. So that's another really good reason to do this. Okay, so the last one is 4-7-8 breathing. And this is kind of the big gun. It's if you're feeling like unwinding, out of control, too much, starting to feel like you're having a panic attack, this is a really good breath to go to. And the 4-7-8 is after you exhale all your air out, you breathe in, count of 4, you hold for a count of 7, and then you exhale for a count of 8. So it's very different than your regular breath, and it can be hard. And I would say start by doing it maybe 4 times, and then that's it, and then rest for a while, and then try it again. So it looks something like this, and I'll just count on my hands. So I'm going to exhale all the way. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. That's what it looks like. And it's very grounding, very, very grounding. So let's try this. And what I'll do is I'll count for you and just watch you guys do it. So first, exhale all the way. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do 2 more on your own counts, 4, 7, 8. Good. How are you feeling? You can even talk. Relaxed? Grounded, I hope. Tired, maybe. I would say that the best thing for you to do, right, one of the main reasons that, especially in the yoga tradition, one of the main reasons that we do breath work, as well as do asana or pose practice, is to be able to meditate. And what I do sometimes is I'll do some breath work, I'll do like 5 minutes of breath work and then meditate. But I also think a nice thing to do after breath work is just to lie down in shavasana, just